We're sorry. The participant capacity for this conference has been exceeded. Goodbye.
Hello? Hello? What the heck? Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello? I don't know if y'all can hear me. This is Paisley Wild. And we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I think I'm in here. Can you hear me? I sure hope you can hear me. If not, I don't know what I did. Oy. So, this is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And we're being broadcast live tonight, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and also on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. This one. The like, subscribe. You know the drill. And no matter how you are listening, make sure you stop in and say hello in one of the chat menus, or you can also send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. And that is wildepaisley@gmail.com. If you want to just support my radio habit, you can do that by going to the cash tag, and that is $TheSpacesBetween. And if you want to learn more about me, which you can, you can always do the PaisleyWild.com. All right, hold on. I apparently am having... I went through and made sure everything was okay. Hello? Go? I don't want to be on hold. I want to go. I'm going. I swear. Technology. Technology's my friend, right? I'm trying. More volume. Hello. Can you hear me now, Titan? I hope. There I am, at least one place. I will just keep my face right up here next to the microphone tonight. So, hello, TFR. This is Paisley Wild. Excuse me. And we are now adventuring into the spaces between. And we're being broadcast live, of course, on TFR, Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and also on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening in, I have an update, so I don't have a call-in right at the moment. So the call board is not live, but you can send me the message through the chat rooms or send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. If you want to learn more about me and my path and my adventure into the wild beyond, known as paganism, you can do that by going to the website. That's www.paisleywild.com. To support the radio habit, that's hashtag, that is the $TheSpacesBetween. And as long as you're doing all this fun stuff online, you might as well check out iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. iLife combines the non-psychoactive properties of the ayahuasca with high-quality CBD and helps to cure what ails you and just supports you in many ways. Go to the website, check it out. And since iLife is the exclusive sponsor, or an exclusive sponsor to TFR, meaning they don't advertise anywhere else, if you put TFR in for a coupon code, you get $5 off your iLife purchase. So, yeah, it's good stuff. You should check it out. Really, really, really. Just because I said so. You should do it. I told you to. Right? Isn't that the way it works? So, how goes? Life is such an adventure. As I'm reading. Ooh, Titan is seeing some angel numbers and having mood swings. So, I have to tell you, just in watching the interwebs and the social media feeds and everything that I interact with, People have been having mood swings all over the place. And if you are getting the angel number 44 Titan, so 44, often that means you are being given support and encouragement along your path. Just real quick. So, I don't know about that one. I don't know Titan on the second question. Titan likes to ask questions, which is good because it gives us something to talk about sometimes that we didn't necessarily want to talk about or know that we needed to. Hey, Gemini. So if you do have a question, by all means, stop in. Express them. Darn it. You should. Oh, my stars. Hold on. Let me check the messages here. Make sure I'm not missing something. Oh, nope. That's fine. That's fine. Get that later. I don't know why that's open. You ever fumble your phone and you're like, what on earth is that? Because, yes, sometimes that I have fumbled with fingers. So, interesting thing. I've been having some weird health issues, and my hips have been bothering me. And it's vexing, of course, because, nobody wants to be in pain. And it's annoying as all get out because it's really hard to do the things that I want to do. So go to the doctor, get the MRI and all the jazz. Basically, I have like a torn rotator cuff type pain or an injury in my hips, which is great, right? How on earth are you supposed to heal that? I don't know. I have a physical therapy appointment. I'll be finding out more stuff. Sounds like I get to be, I don't know, reclined? I just need more time to work on the book, I guess, and less time to do other things. So, yeah. But it brought to mind holistic health. Because, as a pagan and a witch, I do spell work. Kitchen witch specifically, I do a lot of stuff in the kitchen. And it's amazing how many of the different herbs and spices we have in the kitchen to cook with that have magical properties and also have benefits to them in a health way. And for instance, we hear a lot about turmeric these days and how turmeric is so good for you and you should have all the turmeric and blah, 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 and try turmeric milk, which sounds horrible, honestly. But turmeric, also known as curcumin, and turmeric is yellow, and it's good for anti-inflammatories. It's an anti-inflammatory type of plant. And supposedly it'll help with Alzheimer's and cancer, but there's still studies out there, and they're doing the things to find out what it is, but it's good for you. And turmeric comes from the root, so what we eat or what we put in our food, it comes from the roots. And technically, turmeric is in the ginger family. Did you know? I didn't know, but now I do. Ginger is also a really good plant for you. Same with just black pepper is actually very good for inflammation. So there's all sorts of different things in our kitchen that we use to cook with that would also be found in, say, an apothecary. And sometimes an apothecary would say, well, instead of eating this, you want to do it like in a salve or tincture or in some other way instead of putting it on your food. Now, sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's bad. Sometimes the taste buds are just like, what? Like cinnamon is really good for helping to stabilize your blood sugar, but who wants to eat a spoonful of cinnamon? I mean, there's challenges out there about how bad that is for you. So you can get little capsules with cinnamon in it already, or if you want to fill your own and you know what kind of milligram dosage you need, you weigh it out and put it in the little caplets yourself, and that's something you can do. So that is, just something we cook with, right? And it's good for you, not just because it's healthy to eat natural foods, but also because there's health benefits. So as I am adventuring onto my own, I'm in my own health journey. We all are. If we're alive, we're in a health journey. Trust me on this. Holistic health. And that's generally what I follow. I don't just say, Western medicine is the be-all, end-all, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to do what he says, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and he's right, or she's right. And I'm also not on the other end of the spectrum where I hate Western medicine. I'm only going to do alternative medicine. According to Western medicine, it's alternative, but it's technically original medicine. And I'm only going to do herbs and supplements and stuff like that. I'm not going to, if I can't grow it myself, I'm not going to have it. That's the other end of the spectrum. So you get two ends of the spectrum here. For me, my interpretation, holistically, is where it meets in the middle somewhere. Meaning, treat what you can with original medicine. And the reason why I call it original medicine is, well, it's been around forever. And Western medicine is the new kid on the block. It's a well-funded new kid on the block, so it's got a bigger voice, bigger microphone, if you will, louder speakers. It's got the booming system. And so it's got a better marketing gig than, say, holistic health. But they're both really, really important. It's the yin and the yang, if you will. A left hand, right hand. You have to have both. Because if you don't have both, that's when you potentially run into other health issues. For instance, if your doctor says you need to take more calcium to help support your bone health, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to take more calcium, but you didn't get your vitamin D levels checked, so you don't know that your vitamin D levels are low, that means and if your vitamin D levels are low, that means your body's not going to absorb the calcium. And so not only should you be taking the calcium, a soluble calcium, not just, whatever they give you. I mean, you got to look at the quality of the ingredients as well. But also you need to take the vitamin D. And then if you're going to take the vitamin D, let's see, hold on. You also need to take potassium. So you take vitamin D to help your body process the calcium into your body, but vitamin D also helps retention of potassium in the system and sodium. So if you're having cramps, often that's a sign that you're low or deficient in potassium, found in bananas, right? Well, maybe it's because you have low vitamin D, and so your body isn't accepting the potassium and processing the potassium. And it's all related. It's not just, I'm going to take this one thing. I mean, that's, as Lucky has put it in the past, it's putting a Band-Aid on a gut wound. And that's not going to work. It just isn't. Now, you can use poultices. You can use salves that you make yourself. I'm been watching my wild lettuce, because you can make a lovely salve out of wild lettuce. You just have to harvest it and steep it and steam it and render it down into this kind of brown syrupy concoction that you can add to your oils and your creams to make a good salve. And it's a legal substitute for opioids. It's called nature's opium. And it's not addictive. It's so, how many of the things that grow in the roadside ditches or in the fringes of our yards, or, the out-of-the-way places, cracks in the sidewalk, etc., that are actually really good for you. But because society has labeled it as a weed, that must mean it's bad, that, people just automatically get out the Roundup and want to kill it all. Which, we're not even going to talk about Roundup. Roundup's not good for you. Just saying. Just like ragweed, for instance. We always hear about how bad ragweed is. Oh, it gives me such allergies. Oh, I'm allergic to this. Well, did you know if you take ragweed and you dry it and steep it like a tea, it's very astringent. What that means is it helps to clean wounds. So if you have scratches or sores or something that need an astringent, but maybe alcohol is too harsh, ragweed tea basically is an astringent. It'll help cleanse that area. Now, it can also be used as an emetic. Basically, that means your plumbing speeds up and things come out faster. And you got to trot to the bathroom real quick. Well, that works, but you just got to be careful with that. You do. Too much diarrhea makes you sick too. But it also, ragweed works as an emollient. Now, an emollient, emollient, helps to soften and smooth the skin. So, if you buy over-the-counter lotions all the time, or makeup, cosmetics, that kind of thing, often there's some sort of emollient in there, and it's probably something that you can't pronounce because that's what they do. But it is an emollient. You can make it out of ragweed. And I'm not going to give you the preparations right here because that's not what I'm working on. But I want to talk about some of these things. I'm going to bring them up kind of as I go and what pops in my brain, because I think it's important. It actually really is important to know some of these things. The Wild and Weedy is a book by Doreen Shababia that I've mentioned in the past, and it's one that if you have a chance to get it, you should. If you can't, well, I get it. But there are other books out there that you could. And we need to maybe be a little more aware of the plant life out there that's good for us. So just ragweed on, it's also a fever reducer. So, for instance, if a child has a fever and you don't necessarily want to give them Tylenol or ibuprofen, which I get because there can be some adverse effects. Some people can't take Tylenol or ibuprofen. If you pulp the fresh leaves, so you just crush them, like muddle them, like if you were making a mimosa with some mint, you can take the juice and you can apply it directly to like insect bites or poison ivy or other rashes. Hold on. So it's Wild and Weedy by Doreen Shababia. She's a sweet lady. She definitely has a green thumb. And I've talked to her about being on the show, but that's not her gig, and I get it. Anyway, she got into herbalism because her husband ended up with Lyme disease, and the traditional treatments, according to Western medicine, weren't working. So she started looking out there to see what else is there. And it's an important to know, So, what else? Sometimes ragweed pollen is good for hay fever. So if you are allergic to ragweed, for instance, maybe collect some of that pollen. Now, just I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I do not have an MD after my name, just so you know. But if you talk to your doctor, because your breathing's really important. I don't want to muck up your breathing. That'd be bad. But if your doctor says it's okay and you are able to gather ragweed, you can gather the pollen from the flower itself. And sometimes you can ingest it by eating it rather than breathing. And it'll help build up your tolerance to it. Just like you're inoculating yourself intentionally against some of the stuff out there that we don't necessarily want to have, because you're allergic to it. But yeah, you're out hiking or camping or whatever, and you get into some poison ivy, poison oak, wild nettle, that kind of thing, and it gives you a nice rash. And there's ragweed there too, and you know what ragweed looks like. So you got to have your plant identification a little bit. But you can make a poultice and put it down there, and it'll help relieve the discomfort at the very least. Let's see. Speaking of stinging nettle, this is one that growing up, I thought it was pretty, so I didn't like, pulling it up. But if I did have to, I always wore gloves because, my hands would burn. Oh my goodness. But stinging nettle is another good plant. So, and I'll have links for some of this stuff in the show notes, like I always do, guys. So, stinging nettle, it's Urtica dioica. So it's been around for a while, ancient times actually, because ancient Egyptians used to use stinging nettle to treat arthritis and lower back pain. And then Roman troops actually rubbed it on themselves to stay warm because it would help. It would cause blood to go to the skin, and the skin would be warm. So the scientific name of stinging nettle is Urtica dioica. Comes from the Latin word euro, which means to burn, because the leaves give a burning sensation upon contact. And it's because they have these little bitty teeny tiny hairs. Or hair-like structures that are attached to the leaves. And so when they encounter the skin, it's like you just got a really teeny tiny needle. And so, of course, it's going to burn. But you can process stinging nettle, and it's good for you. You can dry it, you can cook it, you can steep it. There's a couple different things. So stinging nettle specifically, and we're going to talk about. Oh, yes, Titan says there's a really neat apps on the phone that can help identify plants. Just take a picture of the plant and it helps identify it. It's a great cheat. Yes. You just want to make sure you're getting pictures of the right things, whether it's the flower head, the root. It doesn't really tell you much. So the flower head and the leaves, if you can, or the seeds. Yeah. Really, really important to make sure you're using the right identification tools. So stinging nettle has vitamins A, C, and K, and quite a few of the B vitamins. It also has calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and sodium. It also has linoleic acid, palmitic acid, stearic acid, and oleic acid, which are all fats, which are really good for you. And then it also has all of the essential amino acids. It's almost a superfood, like an unknown superfood, because everybody's like, oh, it's a weed, it's a weed. No, it's good for you. But let's see, it's got some polyphenols in it, including caffeic acid, which is caffeine, and some other flavonoids. And then it's got beta-carotene, lutein, luteoxanthin, and other carotenoids. So basically, those are all antioxidants that are good for your body. They help against the free radicals that are kind of bad for you, because they make you age a little bit. Some cancer-causing free radicals and other harmful diseases. So supposedly, and they've done studies here, they have done studies where people who take a stinging nettle extract, it helps their blood antioxidant levels, which helps with their immune system. So this is natural immune support that most people pull up and throw away. This is, in most of, at least Western society, this is a weed. This is a garbage plant. This is something that they don't want, just like a dandelion is really good for you too. I'll talk about that in a minute. So, studies are showing that stinging nettle reduces inflammation and helps fight infections. Well, infections often cause inflammation, so it makes sense that they come together. Let's see. They can also help with some of those inflammatory hormones that are within the body, because they interfere with the actual production of the hormones. Meaning, instead of, your body's like, we're going to be inflamed and we're going to deal with this. And you're like, all right, I got to get the ice, I got to get this, and I got to do that. And you take a break. This actually stops the hormone that causes you to swell up, that inflammation. So if you have arthritis in your hands and you have stinging nettle cream, you can rub it on your hands. It's going to burn just a little bit, kind of like Icy Hot might or Vicks might. And it feels a little weird sometimes. But once it soaks into the skin just a little bit, it feels fantastic. And you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? What took me so long? It can also help with your prostate. So about half of men over age 50 have issues with their prostate in some way, shape, or another. So a little bit of stinging nettle in your tea is really good for you. And not just in the short term, yes, but also in the long term even. So it's a healing plant that doesn't have a lot of long-term or even short-term side effects, and can help with like your urination problems. So if you have common UTIs commonly and that kind of thing, you might want to think about it. Hay fever, they've shown that some of stinging nettle can help with hay fever. I don't know that I'd want it in my nose though. Just and it can also lower blood pressure and helps with your sugar control. So you're diabetic, maybe you want to think about this. But if you have a known health issue and you're being treated by a doctor, be careful of the supplements you take so they don't interfere with your medications that you're already taking. But hey, guess what? Bottom of the hour, it's our first break already. Man, that was a fast 30 minutes. Boy. So when we come back, I'm probably going to talk about dandelion. Dandelion's next because it's good. We need to think about this. Think about the plants in the world around us. So, anyways, off to break, and we'll be right back. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And tonight, we're talking about how to be a better you. because you know what? Sometimes we need that little extra oomph on how to be a better us. I mean, generally we can do it. but sometimes we forget, what it means to be a better you. It's not always, ooh, I'm going to be smiley today. No, there's more to it than that. Ooh, Maggie's going to start an herb garden. That's so awesome. Pictures. Seriously. Wildepaisley at gmail.com. WILDEPAISLEY at gmail.com. I love pictures. I'll put pictures of your gardens up on the Facebook or on the website. I promise. Yeah. So before we get into other plants that have really good benefits, I wanted to talk about just a little bit, what does holistic health mean? Because we've heard about it. Holistic health is kind of out in the news all over the place. And what does that mean? Well, holistic health is defined as a form of healing that looks at the whole person, the mind, the body, and the spirit. And holistic healing often involves several different complementary medicines, alternative healthcare practices, and sometimes just in a little bit of spiritual advice sometimes that they all overlap. And sometimes Western medicine just can't handle all of that. And they just really focused. So they got the blinders on. Oh, we can't see anything else. Oh, nope, there's nothing over there. They can't see it. Well, it's the blinders. So things that are involved are in the realm of a holistic health care. And not just going to your regular doctor and your checkups and stuff like that, but chiropractic services, herbalism, which is what we're talking about, massage. If you've not ever had a massage, you should have one. Just saying. There's often massage schools regionally, and they will do discounts. Like we have North Idaho Massage Academy here in Sandpoint, and every so often they'll do a special where you can get a whole hour massage for like $30. It's worth it. Energy work like Reiki is important because your chakras, if your chakras are out of alignment or feeling clogged, the energy within your body is not going to work right. It's not going to flow. It's kind of like having, like I want to make toast, but the toaster's not plugged in. Well, you can't. Your body doesn't function right if you don't have all the energy flowing correctly. Therapy. Seriously. And I am a big believer in therapy. If you have something to talk about, you need a therapist. You've gone through some trauma or stuff. Sometimes you just need to talk to someone who is a therapist, and that's good. Counseling, that kind of thing. Yoga. Yoga's good for you. It really stretches those muscles and helps you energize you, and it's often very low impact. You don't have to do hot yoga, which I think is insane. Hot yoga is yoga in a sauna. No. If I'm in a sauna, I'm chillaxing. I'm probably taking a nap. Meditation. Meditation's very good for you. Again, it helps focus you on you. Acupuncture. Acupuncture is actually being covered a lot more by many of the insurance companies in the U.S. And this is important, and it's come about because of the fear-mongering, fear of a lot of the painkillers, and people are being addicted to pain drugs, like hydrocodones, that kind of thing. So the doctors don't want to prescribe that kind of thing, so you can get it because they don't want you to be addicted and have to figure it out. Acupuncture is an alternative. Physical therapy. Often we assume, oh no, I know how to move. What are you talking about? I can know how to walk, or I know how to pick things up, or I know how to do this. Why would I need physical therapy to help me out? Because you can have not just physical therapy that helps you, move your muscles like after and retrain yourself after you broke something, but also physical therapy that helps your body move the way it should. So making sure you lifting with your legs, not with your back, that kind of thing, or the proper way to reach or bend. And that's important. The general Western medicine, your primary care provider, should be your focus point for all of your care. Go to that person first. And just when it comes to Western medicine, actually any of these programs, any healthcare provider of any kind, if you don't have a good rapport and they are not, or I should, instead of and, I should say, or they're not providing the services that you need, you can fire your healthcare professionals and you can get someone else. You can find someone else. You are paying them to provide a service to you, and if that service is not satisfactory, you don't have to keep them. That's part of the reason why second opinions are a good thing. Sometimes even a third. So pay attention. Nutrition. Nutrition is huge. Huge. Pharmacy is in the chat room now. Pharmacy will tell you nutrition is a big deal. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much you exercise if you put junk into your system. Or if you are a moderate in your physical activity, but you eat more food than energy you burn. There's a reason why food is measured in calories. Calorie is a measure of heat or energy. And when your body exercises, you are burning calories. So you're burning that energy. So yeah, your nutrition is huge, and personal training. So sometimes, even though, again, we know how to do the things, sometimes we need that little extra push to get them done. Yes, you can do one more sit-up. It's okay. Or, yes, you can walk 10 more feet. It'll be okay. So, but my point is, sometimes you need a well-defined team to help you with your health. And when I say general Western medicine, I sure hope you're including your dental health, because if you're not taking care of your mouth, a lot of diseases actually can start in the mouth. Some diseases start in the gut. Some in both. They are connected. The whole esophagus, yeah. So pay attention to all of those. And they should be complementary to one another. You shouldn't be going to a primary care provider that says, massage does nothing for you. And at the same time, what? So you need to make sure you have a good team. And sometimes the roles that these people will play overlap. For instance, a chiropractor may have massage therapy services. Yoga, meditation, and that might happen in the same building. Energy work might happen with yoga also. Nutrition, that might be in with the Western medicine. That may be with herbalism. It could be anywhere in there. So, pay attention. And if we look at the whole picture of health, all of you, when it comes to your health, it makes it easier to stay healthy and not fall into that I am just an emotional roller coaster or food roller coaster or any of that. So pay attention. The link for the article I was just referencing is in the show notes. You should read it. There's a lot more information in there. And Leo, I'm glad you have pizza. Pizza's important too. So I, once upon a time, like 25 years ago, 26 years ago, I had to see a cardiologist on a regular basis, unfortunately. One of the things he said, it is better to indulge yourself once in a while when it comes to treats and things that are not necessarily good for you than to fall off the wagon completely. So, yes, indulge once in a while, but don't indulge to the point where you can't get away. That's bad. Dandelion. So talk about different plants and how good they are for you. Pharmacy totally missed talking about stinging nettle. So yeah, we'll talk about dandelion. Dandelion is huge. Dandelion is really good for you. It's very nutritious. How many commercials do we see on TV, especially in the spring, where they're talking about killing the dandelions in your yard. One, the bees in your world really love dandelions, and dandelions are really good for them. So, and Maggie says moderation and balance. Yes, moderation in everything that you do. It's when you focus in too much on one thing that you lose your balance, and things can get out of sync and out of whack. It doesn't matter what it is. So, root to flower, the dandelion is good for you. The entire plant, lots of vitamins and minerals, fibers. So vitamins, the greens, you can eat them raw in a salad. You can cook them just like you would any green. Give it a good blanch. Put in a cream sauce. But dandelion greens have vitamin A, C, K, E, folates, and some other B vitamins. But they also have iron, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Also good for you. And then the root of the dandelion is rich in a carbohydrate called inulin, inulin, and it's a type of soluble fiber that is found in plants, and so it helps with a healthy gut in your. It's good bacteria in your gut. So a lot of times, our gut health is what takes us down. Maybe we grew up eating a lot of fast food because that's what our parents provided, or a lot of box meals or whatever. So our gut is unhealthy because it's got a lot of stuff in it. If you're eating plants like dandelion or plants that have a lot of inulin in them, it'll help with the gut bacteria. You can dry dandelion root and consume it as a tea. Or you can chop it up and put it in your other, with your carrots or that kind of thing. I have dried dandelion and I ground it up, and I have put it in the coffee grounds. So because to me, coffee or dandelion root, when it's roasted, tastes a little bit like coffee. It just does. It's just my taste buds. But yeah, dandelions have lots of antioxidants, lots of them, and yeah. Let's see. They have a lot of beta carotene, which you see the commercials. Beta carotene is good for you. Yeah, it's really good for you. Dandelions can help with inflammation. No, Leo, you should enjoy the pizza. I can't actually have any. I've gone gluten-free, and wow, what a difference. Really, truly, it's made a difference. So yeah, dandelion is good for inflammation. So, a lot of inflammation is bad for you. It can harm your DNA or harm your tissues. It can corrupt your DNA even. So for instance, I've had swelling on my ankles since I was about 12. And it just, now that I know more about my family health, it's like, oh, thanks, guys. But because I've had swollen ankles most of my life, in a way, the tissues that's normal for them to retain fluid. So every so often, I do have to wear like support hose, or I wear support leggings. I'm not big on support tights because it just makes me feel like I'm trying to squeeze myself into a sausage casing, and that's not my idea of a good time at all. So, but leggings, yoga pants, that kind of thing, they do have that same compression type thing. So yeah, you can buy compression leggings, and I like them. So there. But dandelion is good for inflammation and helps with your blood sugar. So this is like 2 plants now that I've talked about that are helpful with your blood sugar. So if you are diabetic, whether you're hypoglycemic or hyperglycemic, because you could be either, one is diabetic and one's the opposite of diabetic, you need to make sure you have your sugar levels can stay balanced, because if the up and down, the roller coaster ride of blood sugar, if you don't keep it under control, you can have some serious long-term issues with an out-of-control blood sugar, whether it's too high or too low. You can have a coma either way. It's bad. Don't do that. Also, dandelion's been shown to reduce both cholesterol and blood pressure. So, why not? And how does it do that? It helps promote a healthy liver. And because you're being healthier, dandelion can help with weight loss. So why wouldn't you do all this? And because it's got that that special fat that I mentioned earlier, that was in the carbohydrate. Excuse me, where'd it go? I lost it. That's what I get for not highlighting. Inulin. It helps with the gut, right? Well, if your gut is healthy, things flow better. Nobody wants to be constipated. Nobody wants diarrhea. You kind of want a happy medium. So, yeah. And because you have that gut health is better, the odds of you having a compromised immune system because your gut health is poor, yeah, that's going to be decreased too. So, really, as you talk to your doctors, like, hey, I don't feel good about this or that, or I've got this health issue, and they say, well, we want you to take this pill. You can always ask. It's like, well, what about the benefits of dandelion? What should I do there? And sometimes they'll say, oh, that's not such a great idea because you're taking these other medications. Or they'll say, that's a great idea. Why don't you try that? Keep a diary, though, when you try something new like that so you can note side effects and benefits. It's like, hey, I ate X amount or ingested X amount of dandelion at 9 a.m. I felt this way. At 1 o'clock, I felt like my sugar was crashing or something. I felt miserable, but I figured out I forgot to eat. So, you gotta pay attention. So, Titan in the chat room mentioned fasting, because there are some benefits with fasting. Now, fasting is, sometimes you do need the care of a doctor when you talk about fasting or when you're doing fasting. And I've done some intermittent fasting, and I have to pay attention to that. So intermittent fasting is an eating pattern where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting. You can do, there's a couple different types, and there's some real benefits to intermittent fasting, because if you don't eat for a while, quite a few different things do happen in our body. It does, because your hormone levels will change, your body chemistry will change, and often when you're fasting for a bit, it'll make the body fat that you have stored already more accessible, and it can help initiate very important cellular repair processes. So, if you're fasting, you may experience your blood level of insulin to drop significantly, which helps with fat burning. The human growth hormones, or the HGH, may increase, which also facilitates fat burning. So basically your body's saying, dude, we're hungry, we need the energy. And they're like, oh, wait, you have extra, let's burn some of that. It can help with cellular repair, because it helps with the processes, the cellular repair processes, like removing waste material and gene expression. So there are several genes and molecules related to longevity and protection against diseases are triggered because of the intermittent fasting. You can lose visceral fat. Do you know what that is? Have you heard of visceral fat? Hold on, I'll give you the exact definition so I don't mess it up. What is it? Well, it is... Hold on. Scroll. It is the fat that sits inside of your abdominal cavity and wraps around your organs. Excuse me. It's often linked to greater potential for chronic disease. So if you've ever gotten a chicken, like a whole chicken or even a whole turkey, and you want to cook it, and you take the giblets out and you're looking and say the gizzard has extra fat on it, or you see fatty deposits around the heart, or the liver, that kind of thing. That's visceral fat, and it's not good for you. So intermittent fasting, when it comes to weight loss, well, you're eating fewer meals. So you're reducing your caloric intake. So if you are consuming fewer calories than you burn throughout the day, you're going to start burning that fat, which is important. Because if you want to lose weight, you got to burn some of the fat. Now, short-term fasting helps increase your metabolic rate, which helps you burn more calories. But long-term fasting can, on the flip side of that, decrease your metabolic processing, because your body is saying, dude, it's a famine, don't burn energy. So you have to find the right balance. This is, again, when food diary and journaling while you're eating and what you're trying is really important. And there's quite a few articles out there that talk about how intermittent fasting can help with weight loss. Let's see. There was a study where study participants in 2014 lost 4 to 7% of their waist circumference in 6 to 24 weeks. So when you stop and think that, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. Just for easy math, say you have 50 inches in your waist and you lose 4%. What is that? Can we do the math on the fly? So 50 times 4%. So that's like half an inch. At least. That's half an inch to an inch and a half. So if over the course of, a month and a half to, 4 months, you're like, dude, I lost 2 inches on my waist. Wouldn't you be pretty doggone excited? Because it's not just your waist, it's your abdomen in general. Also, intermittent fasting causes less muscle loss than a continuous caloric restriction. So if you drop your caloric intake from, say, your normal is 2,500 calories per day, and you drop it down to 2,000 calories per day, and you keep it at 2,000, it's like, nope. Jenny Craig says I can't go over 2,000, so I'm going to just do that. Though the intermittent fasting actually causes you to lose more weight and lose more fat than sticking at that 2,000 calories. Also, intermittent fasting can help with insulin resistance, so lowering your risk for type 2 diabetes. So if you have type 2 diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic for type 2 diabetes, or maybe it's your family history, intermittent fasting might be a good thing, because it'll help with that insulin resistance, which is bad. You don't want that. You really, truly don't want that. Oxidative stress and inflammation. Here's another thing. Inflammation, when we're looking at holistic health, inflammation comes up a lot. Same with oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is kind of pushes you towards aging and many chronic diseases like arthritis, that sort of thing. And then inflammation. Inflammation's a big deal. When you start retaining fluids, which is inflammation, that's swelling, just like you break your toe, it swells, it's uncomfortable, you can't put on your shoe. After a while it heals and it goes down. What if you broke your toe and the swelling never went away? Your shoes wouldn't be comfortable, you'd have to go buy a new pair of shoes. And because there's more room suddenly, and you keep walking and doing things, and instead of just your toe being swollen, your foot starts swelling, and that goes up your leg, and suddenly your leg's swelling, so you can't wear the same. And it's just using that kind of a random example, but it starts to affect your overall health, not just the one thing that was damaged. They're showing that intermittent fasting is good for your heart health. So if you're worried about blood sugar levels, blood pressure, your bad cholesterol, triglycerides, any of that kind of thing, maybe you need to start looking at intermittent fasting. And it helps, push forward your cellular repair processes in general. It's called autophagy. So it helps break down and metabolize broken and dysfunctional proteins that build up in your cells over time. Hi, Wanda. And if you have an increased autophagy, that means you're being protected against diseases like cancer or neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. That's a big deal. And anything that reduces your potential for cancer, that's a big deal too. I mean, we all know someone who's had cancer now. Or we either have had it directly ourselves, or a close family member, or a friend. Almost everybody has had some sort of interaction with cancer. And anything that can lessen the potential for cancer in your system, that's a good deal. You should think about it. Oh, shoot. Speaking of think about it, top of the hour. So we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to do some singing bowl, and we're going to finish up talking about intermittent fasting. We'll be right back. Hello, my lovelies. I hope you guys are having a lovely evening. So Wanda in the chat room says, quite the coincidence that you're talking about fasting, and she just came home with a recommended 12-day fasting kit. Yeah. And Titan says, cancer loves processed sugar. Yes. very much so. Quite a bit, actually. Quite a bit. So we're talking about a lot of things, but first we're gonna singing bowl because you know what? That's part of our meditation, right? All right, hold on. Singing bowl. Leo says time is speeding up. Yeah, it's all that pizza you had. I'm kidding. Sort of, but not. So talking about, how to be a healthier you. And when our physical health is in a better place, our mental health is less of a battle. And it doesn't mean you have to be skinny or this size or that size. No, just our physical health. If we are comfortable with our physical health, whatever it is, and we're confident in it, then, that mental health obstacle, a lot easier to deal with. Stress in general. Stress. That's a dirty word. All right, so right now we're talking about intermittent fasting. Benefits for your brain? Yeah, that oxidative stress comes up. Yeah. Because if it's good for your body, often it's good for your brain. And vice versa. If it's bad for your body, well, it's pretty bad for your brain. Just, cause and effect. Inflammation can affect your brain too. Did you know that? And so they've done quite a few studies in mice now where with intermittent fasting, they actually increased the new nerve cell production in the brain. Isn't that that's wild? So Leo says, when your day starts at sunrise, by dinner time, who wants to do anything, much less cook? So when it's hot out, I have a hard time eating personally. So I do a lot of protein shakes this time of year, or salads if I have the stuff to make a salad, fruit, granola bars, that kind of thing. I tend to eat less anyways right now. I drink a lot more water. I put fruit in my water. Like right now, this is just a tea bag. It's a raspberry pomegranate tea bag in my water just because I wanted the flavor. And so yeah, it's good for you. But the intermittent fasting. Alzheimer's disease, it's a neurodegenerative disease, which is a decreasing function of the brain. And so, again, if we're making our brains healthier with intermittent fasting, that's good. So, yeah. So you can take a Tylenol to cover up the pain, or you can defeat the inflammation naturally. What would you rather do? Take a pill if you're ill? Sometimes it's easier, and I get it. I'm not saying you shouldn't take a Tylenol for pain. If that's what you can take, do it. But that's a short-term repair. That is a short-term fix. When you change the way you eat, that's more of a long-term thing. So before you get into intermittent fasting, make sure you talk with your primary care provider, your health care provider, and make sure it's something that you can do. It's good for your health, for your specific health. Because, I don't want you to just take my advice and say, oh, well, hey, Paisley said I should do this thing. And they're like, and who's Paisley? Is she covered by Blue Cross? No, I'm not. So pay attention and talk to your doctor before you go adventuring into some crazy diet. And I'm not saying this is a crazy diet. I'm saying this should be a lifestyle change. One that I'm trying to make as well. So you're not alone, and it is hard. So I mentioned water. This is a 20-ounce-ish. No, it's a little bit more. 24-ounce bottle, I think. And I drink at least 3 of these a day. So that's 72 ounces of water. I know there's some water ratios that you're supposed to have. How much? Can't spell. So, how much water should you drink? Well, based on your weight, you should drink about half an ounce to an ounce of water for each pound you weigh every day. About. And that is a variable thing, and that's not just water, that's fluid intake. So if you drink coffee, technically that's water, milk, juice, all of that. Now, it's not as good for you as just water. But I get that sometimes we don't want water. And I know quite a few people that have a hard time drinking water, and I understand that. So you can put fruit in your water. You can. I like frozen fruit, honestly. Just drop in some frozen berries, yeah, or cucumber slices, or lemon, citrus, any of that, ginger. And so there's any of the fruit that you're putting into your water is going to put some natural things into the water, and fruit infused water in general lowers your sugar intake because you're getting something sweet all the time. Like I said, this is a pomegranate raspberry tea in here. Tastes a little bit like raspberry, a little bit like pomegranate. There's a little bit of lemon juice left. But it's enough sweet that I'm not craving a sweet thing. And if I'm not going to crave a sweet thing, then why would I have that urge to go get a bowl of ice cream or a candy bar or something? So you can create all sorts of different combinations, like cucumber and mint. Oh, Titan, you're funny. Orange and ginger. I like lemon and mint more than cucumber and mint. Apple and cinnamon. Apple and cinnamon is really good for you. Lemon and lime. Blackberry, orange, pomegranate, raspberry. There's so many different combinations out there that you can make when it comes to fruit in your water. Turmeric is a little spicy though, but it's good for your heart health. But you can add it in with like ginger. That might be interesting. Or lemon. Cucumbers. Cucumbers are good in general. Mint. Mint's good to throw there. I have a bunch of mint that I'm growing right now. I have no problem putting a couple of leaves of mint in my water bottle. Are you kidding? Yum. So, yeah, it's really important to make sure you've got, because soda itself, any kind of soda, doesn't matter if it's diet soda, is bad for you. Diet soda has a lot of chemicals in it that are really bad for you, so be careful with that. Soda in general is a sugar heavy, and I know people, and it's frustrating because husband and wife will both quit drinking soda for a period of time. Wife has zero change other than she's kind of grouchy, and husband will lose like 20 pounds for not drinking soda for a period of time, and causes a little frustration, but yay for him. But basically, soda puts a lot of weight on us, even if it is the diet soda. It's not good. Wanda says she sees a specialist doctor regularly, and many doctors give themselves magnesium 2 times a day, and they feel better in many ways. Often, if I have a low-grade headache, I'll take a little bit of magnesium, and I feel better. And it's just a little bit. I don't need a lot, but sometimes that little bit goes a long way. Let's see. What other plants are out there that might show up in the wild? Well, how about burdock? That fits. So burdock is an interesting plant. burdock has these little burrs that were pretty much the inspiration for Velcro. And, yeah. So, when it comes to burdock itself, it's another one of those plants that's really good for your sugar levels. Yeah. Really good for your sugar levels. So, most people eat the roots only, but you can eat the whole plant. So, and it is a weed in general, according to most people. But traditionally, is the fruit, seeds, roots, leaves were all in decoctions for tea or in teas, excuse me, for colds, gout, rheumatism, stomach ailments, cancer, increased sweating, promote urination, and help with your bowel movements. So people say that burdock is an aphrodisiac. Okay, sure. So the the root is white and it's carrot shaped, and it can grow 2 feet long, which is crazy. And that's where most of the nutrients are going to sit. There's phytochemicals, including lignans, triterpenoids, polyacetylenes, and help with blood circulation and detoxification. And they're anti-diabetic. And they're also anti-inflammatory. There's that anti-inflammatory thing I've mentioned repeatedly. So you can use it in a tea, and it helps with acne, burns, or boils, and eczema. And burdock root also contains inulin, another one of those prebiotic fibers that are good for your gut health. So one of those really good plants. Even though most people say, it's a weed, it's good for you. It can help reduce cholesterol. It's good for your liver support. And because you're being healthier, it's good for, it fights cancer. And if you use it as a wash, like on your skin, it's good for aging. So your wrinkling and the excess pigmentation, so those age spots, that kind of thing. And so apparently, if you eat enough of burdock root extract, it does help with your desire to have adult time, but it's a natural thing rather than taking a little blue pill. And then burdock root tea helps again with that inflammatory processes. So you got to look at the dosing and such, and be aware of how much you're taking and how good is it for you really, and are you taking anything that might be against it. So burdock is really good for you. And it looks like a weed. Most people treat it like a weed. Sweet clover. Wanda says she picked some sweet clover on Wednesday. Well, it helps wash out or flush out water in your systems as you're drinking. Drink water with the sweet clover. It helps flush out excess water. And it's good for varicose veins and poor blood circulation. And sometimes that poor blood circulation has a really big impact on your leg pain, your night cramps, your itchiness, and your fluid retention. So sweet clover, another one of those really good for you. So mullein, mullein, is one that we talk about up here a lot because it's growing everywhere. And it's the leaves are this soft plant. And it's also one of those things you can use for toilet paper if you don't have anything. That's how soft and fuzzy it is. But the flowers are used for medicine. Mullein can be used for whooping cough, tuberculosis, bronchitis, pneumonia, earaches, etc., etc. Things that are impacting your breathing. And they also help fight against the herpes virus and some of the respiratory bacteria infections. There are quite a few other things out there like croup, migraines, diarrhea, asthma, flu, gout, that it might help. You might want to do a wash or a tincture, do some research on that one. But mullein is really good for a lot of the airways type of diseases and problems, including including, where'd it go? Swine flu. Colic, joint pain. What else causes joint pain? Inflammation. So mullein, even though I've also heard it as witch's torch, because the stalk can be quite a bit, it's quite inflammatory, if you will. So yes, be aware of what you're getting and looking for. But yes, it can be really good for you. I'm sorry, Justin. Justin says my mom ruined me on mullein. They thought he had asthma, so when he would get a bronchial issues, he'd put his face over a boiling pan of mullein root with a towel over his head. I'm sorry. Oh, Titan, excellent comment. So Titan says, would you all agree? Most people think getting healthier means doing massive changes, but 1 to 2 things cut away, then 1 or 2 good things can make great differences. Yes. And Maggie says, often little changes spur on more changes, and then you look back and you realize how far you come. What is it? Confucius says, the longest journey starts with a single step. Yeah, often it's the little things. So I prefer honey in my coffee, just good old-fashioned raw honey, instead of sugar. Honey is a more natural sugar, or a natural sweetener than refined white sugar. It's a little thing, but I like it. It tastes good. To me, it's just better. It says one thing, I've reduced my sugar intake because I've been switching my sweeteners. I haven't, not cutting them out completely, but do I need sugar? No. For a lot of things, I prefer honey. Some people prefer maple syrup or birch syrup, or stevia. Now stevia has some really good benefits to it, but you have to be aware of which kind of stevia you're getting. Often the raw stevia or the stevia sweetener you make yourself, like a syrup you make, is going to be better than something that's over-processed. Because unfortunately, a lot of the natural good-for-you sweeteners are so over-processed by the time they get to the grocery store that a lot of the benefit has just kind of gone down the drain. But yeah, little changes. Instead of parking as close to the door at the grocery store as you can, why don't you park a little bit further away next to one of the cart corrals? So when you get done taking the groceries out of your cart, you don't have to go very far to put the cart away, even if you had to walk, a block or two or whatever, depending on what parking lot you're in. And it's amazing, just a few extra steps in the course of every time you go grocery shopping is good for you. Or when you go to work, instead of parking as close to the door as you can get, park as far from the door as you can get. Now, I understand during adverse weather conditions, you might want to park closer. I get it. I have broken my ankle in the work parking lot. I understand. So other than that, though, if you don't have to park that close, then don't. Walk. Even though I've been walking with a cane lately, I still, generally speaking, don't park as close to the door as I can possibly get. Now, that's not always true. But generally speaking, yeah, it is. Oh, hold on. Apparently I need an update, but I don't have enough battery. Story of my life. Like we have a mailbox at the end of the driveway. I try to walk down to get the mail. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't make it, but I try to. I think it's important to get out and do that thing. I have chores outside, so I have to go take care of the chickens, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to be active. And you don't have to, like, for instance, if you're trying to be more physically active, you're like, woohoo, I'm going to clean the kitchen, I'm going to clean the whole house today. No, settle down. Put one room on an index card. So you have an index card for every room in the house. Bigger rooms, maybe split it in half. And, pick one room a day. Take a break if you need to. It's okay. Don't stop the momentum completely. Pause if you need to, just to keep going. Leo says it only takes 2 weeks to change for a change to happen, and it's not hard if you start with one, then one after that. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just take one step at a time. Yeah, I mean, so I did an elimination diet because I needed to find out what I was having allergic reactions to. So it was kind of a big deal to cut everything back, which was highly annoying because it just was. We'll leave it at that. But now that I've been gluten-free, it's pretty second nature. Leo calls it homestead fit. You could probably sell that, market that, get some t-shirts. Because... excuse me. Maggie says pacing. Yeah, pacing, I suppose. Often it's the little steps, the little things that help push you towards your goals, whatever it is. And you don't have to tell everybody what your goal is. Someone says, hey, are you trying to lose weight? What are you changing your diet for? It's like, no, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm just trying to be healthier. Because if you say, yeah, I'm trying to lose weight, it's like, oh, well, if you joined this gym, and what are you doing over here, and blah, blah, blah. Instead, you're just like, no, I'm just trying to be healthier. That's why I'm eating the salad instead of, the double cheeseburger with bacon and onion rings. So there's, which one do you want? So yeah, just pay attention. Yeah, pay attention to what you're eating. Read your labels. It's funny because I've heard people say, well, if you can't pronounce the word, why are you eating it? Well, sometimes they put the really big, long, complicated Latin names up there on the labels because it sounds fancy instead of saying carrots. We all know what carrots are. So, yeah. Yeah, that's all. See, what's another weed that I see often? Oh, how about cattails? We see cattails. So cattails are really good for wildlife in general. They provide wildlife habitat for baby fish and the insects that they're eating. They also help against erosion along the banks of a pond, and they can also reduce the waves, impact of waves going up against the shores of the pond or the waterway when it's windy and such. So it's good. But cattail actually does have some other benefits. Yep. So, if you have cattail leaves and you decide not to turn them into a basket, you can burn them. And so the ashes from the burned cattail leaves can be used as an antiseptic or as a styptic for wounds. So, they will help your blood clot. So, say you have an open wound and it won't stop bleeding. You can put a little bit of that ash from the cattail leaves on your wound, and it'll help it scab up. Leo says, just take your dog for a walk. Or may have the dog take you for a walk. Or you could be one of those odd ducks, take your cat for a walk. Now, I live in a rural community, yes. Sandpoint's kind of an eclectic group of people. I have seen people walking their parrots. They have like this little... It looks like a stroller, and it's got like this mesh-sided little carrier in there. You'd think a dog would be in there normally. No, it's a parrot. and it had a cockatoo on the handle just hanging out, like, doo-doo-doo, making noise, being all happy. So, yeah. Let's see. Titan says, here's another way to promote good health. Get some sleep. Good night, Titan. Sleep well. There is a sap that comes out at the bottom of the cattail plant that is also antiseptic and is good for wounds or toothaches. Let's see. What does this say? So, so cattails, I think we've all seen cattails, right? I hope. They prefer shallow, marshy kind of conditions, like along pond shorelines or marsh beds, that kind of thing. So cattail actually has nutritional value. Somebody had to measure this. So if you eat cattail, you can get manganese, vitamin K, magnesium, fiber, iron, vitamin B, and sodium. Let's see. It can help with hypertension, your blood pressure, reduces your risks of atherosclerosis, provides cardiotonic and lipid-lowering effects, can help controlling diabetes, provides a steady increase in energy, so you're not getting, oh, hey, guess what? It's break time. I'm talking, and there's some people can't hear me. I'll be right back. Holy buckets. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I gotta tell you, time is flying. Here I am just talking away, talking about the benefits of cattail, and suddenly I'm like, blah, where did the time go? Good morning, Murray. It's just like, wow. Yeah. Flying by. Yeah. So, cattail. Where was I? Benefits of cattail. It's good for skincare, antiseptic, blah, blah, blah. Anemia. Cattail extracts have, hold on, make sure I'm not missing something. Have coagulant properties, meaning they don't, or that they do slow down the flow of blood and prevent anemia. So it can be applied to wounds. And if it's that time of the month and the flow is heavy, it can lessen the severity. But if you have low circulation, you got to be careful with cattail because you don't want a negative reaction. Good skincare, so you can boils, sores, your scars even. Cattail jelly can be applied topically. It's very good for inflammation as well. Cattails, it's a plant. The ones, marshy ones, they got the brown head and the leaves are kind of reed-like, and the reeds are good for like baskets and stuff. The roots are kind of starchy. It is, so let's see. Depending on the time of year, you can dig up the roots, and you can eat the corms on the roots. Surely. Let's see. The corms can be peeled, eaten, and added to other spring greens for salads or put in the stews. When it gets to about 2 above the water, you can peel and eat the corms, or you can saute it. It's also known as a Cossack asparagus. Apparently, it's a very popular dish in Russia. So, as the female bloom spikes and the male pollen spikes begin to emerge, they're kind of in the center of the plant. You can pluck it and peel it like you would corn. And so the female portion turns into the brown cattail that you've seen, and the male portion looks like a twig often on top. The spikes can be eaten like corn on the cob, and apparently they're really good. I haven't tried that one. Apparently it's similar, the flavor's similar to corn, but the texture's different. I don't know. So the yellow pollen on the male head is similar to the consistency is similar to talcum powder, and that pollen can replace flour in like pancakes or cornbread. You can use it as a thickener or flour extender for other breads or cakes. And then the inner portions of the leaf stalk can be collected even in the fall. And the root then can be picked. Hey, Julia. And that root then is very rooty or starchy, like a potato, if you will. So there's, here, I'll give you the link. It's pretty wild, the things you can do with cattail. So it's another one of those really good things that grow wild here in the Pacific Northwest and most of the U.S., pretty much around the world. So now, if you're on a diet, cattail is not necessarily one that you're going to want to go to because you'll put on pounds. Leo says popular in Asia as well. Yeah, it's one of those wild weeds that are just growing all over the place. That's all. let's see. Somebody said something about plantain. So, the plantain weed, if you will, is the one that comes to mind here. It's a green plant. It grows in the cracks in the sidewalk. I'm telling you, this is one that comes across as a weed. And another one of those people are like, oh, I got to pull the weeds and that kind of thing. There's a couple of different types of plantain, and it's not related to the fruit that looks like a banana. It's just a broadleaf plantain. Let's see. So, if you were to have plantain, oh wow. Plantain can impact inflammation. I have not talked about St. John's wort yet. St. John's, there we go. We'll do that one next. So plantain, good for inflammation. Just like I've been saying, inflammation is really bad for you. Well, you know what? You can make an extract from plantain, the broadleaf. And also the leaves have flavonoids, which are good for you, and tannins. So if you need tannins for like your wine, for instance. And the seeds themselves actually slow the growth, or studies are showing that they slow the growth of certain types of cancers even, which is pretty wild. If you apply a gel containing aloe vera and plantain weed, it will help with sores on your feet. So Marie says they sell them at the nursery. They're considered an invasive species, though. They're not allowed in the wild, only in controlled conditions, like in your garden, for instance. And cannot sell them as medicinal plants because of pharmaceutical industry laws. Yeah. I've not gotten to St. John's wort. I'll do that in a moment. But yeah, a lot of plants are considered invasive species or weeds or what have you. So be aware of what you're taking from one region to the next, because there are some restrictions against it. And, you can order like the processed bits and pieces online. You just try to find a reputable dealer or a provider, supplier. That's the big thing. Let's see. If you put plantain weed on wounds, often and they grow or they heal faster. Excuse me. And so the seeds contain psyllium, which is a type of fiber often used as a natural laxative since it absorbs water as it moves through your digestive tract. So helps with bowel regularity, which is, again, one of those big deals. If you've ever been a little bit constipated, you don't want to do that ever again. So, yeah, just one of those things that's good for you. St. John's wort is one that Julia mentioned. I know she's got some processing right now. So it's a flowering plant, has little yellow flowers, or bright yellow flowers, excuse me. So it's also known as goatweed, klamath weed, Tipton weed. St. John's wort. So St. John's wort is good for seasonal affective disorder. Supposedly it's good to help stop smoking. It's good for boosting your mood and aiding in the fight against depression. And a lot of people who do use St. John's wort for depression use it because they have adverse reactions to a lot of antidepressants. Let's see. So they help with PMS or menopause-related symptoms, viral infections, and anxiety and depression. So they do have some side effects, of course, that might be, upset tummy or anxiety, restlessness, tingling. You can have an allergic skin reaction, or similar to quite a few actual antidepressants. They can also cause erectile dysfunction. So be aware. Know what you're eating. But it is another one of those plants that's really good. And often I see St. John's wort in the stores in like a pill. Oh, that's a plantain, broadleaf plantain. Hold on. There you go, Leo. Links will be in the show notes. But so you do have to be careful with the St. John's wort, because if you're using contraceptives, immunosuppressants, blood thinners like warfarin, or if you've got cancer, that kind of thing, you might want to double check with your doctor before you take St. John's wort, just because it does have some other interactions that are not as good. And I don't want you to take something that are going to, have a negative effect on you, because that just wouldn't be cool. The idea is to be healthier, right? So there's a lot of weeds out there, just straight up weeds, that even though they look like weeds, everybody treats them as weeds. They often don't get a lot of support. They're really good for you. One that I'm in the process of, I've been watching them grow and produce. So wild lettuce is one that is of really big importance to me that I'll be processing. You can eat it, by the way, because it is like a lettuce. However, it is good for pain. So the plant itself secretes a milky white substance known as lactucarium, and it is, when dried, it is very similar to opium. However, it does not have the side effects. So similar effects, as in it eases pain, for instance, just like opium used to do, but is non-addictive, which is, in that, just a big deal. And you can find quite a few different products using the wild lettuce, using the seeds, leaves, or the sap, and they treat anxiety, breathing issues, poor sleep, or joint pain. So I got to tell you, if you're in pain and you have some wild, and you use some wild lettuce, odds are pretty good you're going to sleep better because you don't hurt as much. I mean, it's just one leads to the next. It's just A leads to B. Now, wild lettuce can be used recreationally by those looking for psychoactive properties. I've not used it that way yet, but I am kind of curious. So there's a fair bit there. So before you use any of the wild or the natural treatments, make sure you are doing your research. And make sure you're not having or possibly having an allergic reaction to something, because I don't want you to have an allergic reaction, period. Let's see. Sow thistle. That's one I don't know. Sow thistle? It's another one of those antidepressants, antioxidants, anxiolytic, anti-tumor, anti-malarial, blood purifier, hepatic. Wow. Anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of antis in that one. Sow thistle's a good one. You can eat the leaves in salads. Cook it like spinach. It's a good soup. Flowers can be eaten raw or cooked. Now, stems can be eaten just like asparagus, but they suggest that you peel it first. So, I shall have to look this one up. So there are quite a few different resources online for... Oh, really? Okay. Julia, you're not boring. Stop that. I said so. I've heard it said that there is no disease on the earth that there is not a natural remedy for. I don't remember who said it, but I think it's important that we remember that, because there are so many natural cures out there that we just don't pay attention to, because either the indigenous people used them and therefore, we can't, or white man can't use it, or civilization can't use it, which is ridiculous. Or like Eastern medicine. Some of that stuff is really out there, but most of it, they wouldn't keep using it if it didn't have some benefits. Even if it is just psychoactive, because there is some psychoactive, or psychosomatic, not psychoactive, psychosomatic properties. But when you're looking at the holistic part of yourself and trying to figure out a way to help your whole self and your whole health, do your research. Google has a lot of information. Your local library will have a lot of information also. Also, Department of Fish and Game, or here in the U.S., Department of Fish and Game, or also some of your local colleges will have a lot of great information. And I really recommend that you reach out and find those local resources, because they should know more about the wildlife or the plants that are growing in your community. That, excuse me, that you need to use, or what to avoid, what could be toxic, what isn't. And as you are learning about those things, you should journal them, write them down, because that's information that's good for you, that you might need someday, because you're out hiking, or maybe you're camping, or you're driving across the country and your car breaks down or something. Things happen. And a lot of people, accuse me of being a prepper. And it's like, no, I'm not a prepper in that I'm preparing for doomsday, because that's not my gig. Or the end of the world, or what have you. No, I want to prepare for things that might happen, because here in North Idaho, we have snow. Snow knocks out power. So do idiot drivers not paying attention. Wind can knock out power. What else? Actually, heat can knock out power. There's so many different things that could happen that could happen, and that would be the reason why your power goes out, or you're unable to get to the doctor. Look at the last year and a half, roughly. We've been told to stay home because of COVID. Well, if you're not supposed to go into town because they don't want you to spread germs or whatnot, what other resources do you have available for your illnesses or your ailments? Justin Goodearth says, Google is not your friend. Use DuckDuckGo. So, whatever your preferred search engine is, use that. And yeah, journal what you're doing. Journal the dosage you're taking. Journal where you picked it. And remember, we've talked about wildcrafting in the past. Don't take all of the plants. Just take some. Leave the rest there so they can propagate for the next season, because that's important. And it is important. So yeah, just where'd you find it? The time of year you found it. How did you preserve it or prepare it, or both? How did you store it? How long do you think the shelf life is going to be? There's a lot of information online. You should be able to find it. And then what are the dosages? So for medications that I've had to take, I often keep my little pill bottles, peel the labels off. And for some things, I just make a new label and I write on there. So there's the opaque bottle and I just keep it on a shelf. Some things are in the fridge. So it all depends on the herbal medicine I've crafted. So they all have different benefits. They all have different effects, adverse effects and good effects. So you need to do your research and know that, hey, I'm having this reaction to this plant that I ate, or, the salve that I rubbed on my skin, and suddenly I've got hives. You need to be able to go to your doctor and say, okay, this is what it was, and this is what I got, and I took a Benadryl and it's not working. What do I do? What is it? And yeah, Benadryl's good to have on hand anyways, guys. So the importance of your wild crafting journal, and maybe you do need one specifically for wild crafting or for the herbalism aspect of your world. You need that resource. In a way, a 3-ring binder is the best grimoire you could ever have because you can keep adding things. Or you just have multiple volumes. Leo says, if you're not sure, ask before you just do. Yes. What is the saying? Anyone can eat, or everyone can eat any mushroom once. Because some of those mushrooms, all you're going to do is eat them once because you're dead. So pay attention. There are plants out there that are toxic, that are not good for you. And if you do have allergies, don't just eat something thinking, oh, hey, this will make it better. Know yourself. That is an important part of holistic health. You need to know yourself 100%. That's why I talk about journaling. That's why I talk about shadow work. That's why I talk about going to therapy, being healthier in general. If you know you and you know your triggers, for instance, like you stress eat, or you get overwhelmed and so you just don't do anything, or you get overwhelmed and you clean everything. Maybe you're a little ADD, maybe you're a little ODD. Maybe you have depression, maybe you have anxiety, whatever your issues are. We all have them, by the way. If you're journaling how the different things affect you as you go, you'll know in the future. It's like, wow, wild lettuce just gave me anxiety horrible. Yeah, and so not to eat that again. Or, hey, I broke out in hives using, stinging nettle. Well, then not to use stinging nettle again. And it's just a matter of kind of like the elimination diet I was on. You take everything away and you add stuff back in to figure out what it is you can and cannot eat. Well, it's kind of the reverse. If you know you have a bad reaction to something, don't use it. And yeah, if you do the intermittent fasting, time yourself. There's a lot of information online that you can research, or go to your local library. You can go to your college library, any of those places, and they can help you find the right information or the right books to read, or give you the right direction on that kind of thing. Or you can talk to a nutritionist. A lot of folks that do have health insurance, a nutritionist is part of your coverage, part of your health insurance here in the U.S. So take advantage of that. Often, if you go to a nutritionist, they're going to recommend some recipes and some different things. And in theory, they're going to be a little more open-minded when it comes to, what you can and cannot eat, because they are going to be a little more holistic in their approach. So yeah. And then journal everything. I'm kind of on a weight loss journey. I've lost a little bit of weight. I need to keep losing because I'm not healthy, and my goal is to be healthy. So yeah, if you are worried about your weight, don't get so focused on what pant size you are, or shirt size, or the pounds that your scale shows you. Instead, look for healthy, because your healthy weight at age 20 is different than your healthy weight at age 40 or age 60. Because as we age, our health needs change also. In theory, they mature, right? In theory. So, if you have questions, let me know. You can send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com or learn more about me by going to paisleywild.com. You can support the show and my radio habit by doing the cash tag. That's $TheSpacesBetween. If you have show ideas, please send me the email. And thank you, Leo. There's a lot of information out there, and I had originally had a different show topic in mind, and we'll probably do that tomorrow night. I want to talk about misinformation when it comes to paganism and witchcraft, because there is a lot of it out there, unfortunately, and people believe it all the time. It just drives me nuts. If you don't know, don't say you know. That's where I'm starting. That's where we'll leave it. So I guess that's it for tonight. Be good to yourself, Don't look in the mirror and say, oh, I'm so fat. Just say, you know what? I'm me, and I'm working on me. We're always working on ourselves. Love yourself. Doggone it. Just be you. You're the only person in the whole world that can be you. Telling you. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. We'll see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.